Welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Dahya. I'm so grateful that you're here listening or watching this podcast episode. Would love for you to share this episode with your friends, your family, and your workmates. And if you haven't already done so, please follow this podcast so don't miss any future episodes and we can get that out to the wider community. Today's guest is Tywanah Evette, a woman whose life story is a testament to resilience and transformation. Having overcome tremendous odds from early trauma, domestic abuse, to battles with mental and physical challenges, she has emerged as a published author and spiritual guide. As a founder of Black Butterfly Goddess, Tywanah creates a safe, nurturing space where she shares spiritual insights and messages of healing, reaching a wide audience through her popular TikTok community and numerous podcasts. Her memoir sets her to release next year. She remains committed to empowering others to reclaim their inner strength, serving as a beacon of hope and inspiration, and to those on their own healing journeys. Let's welcome Tywanah to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast. Welcome, Tywanah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh, you're most welcome. It's great to have you here. So, Tywanah, could you share us a little bit about your journey in life from childhood to where you are today? Whatever
Absolutely.
whatever you're
Absolutely.
comfortable sharing, would love to hear your journey. What challenges did you face? How did you overcome those challenges? And what got you into what you do today and how you help people?
So I was born prematurely, which now it's not a big deal. A 3 pound baby is not a big deal, but in 1975, it was huge. So from the moment I was in my mother's womb at 7 months, I have faced nothing but adversity. Um, that we had to fight for our lives. The doctor didn't think either one of us were going to make it. They even asked my biological father and my godmother, who's about yay high, to make the decision, who would you like us to save? And my godmother grabs the man by his shirt and she's like, both, looking in his face. And she's the sweet little church lady, but she gets quite scary sometimes, and I think that was one of those times because both of us made it out. I had to stay in the hospital for a while. I had to fight pneumonia and a number of other different things, and lungs weren't fully grown, certain things weren't fully developed. We moved around a lot while I was a child. I heard about the house that my mother owned when I was born, but I didn't recall it because we left it when I was somewhere between 2.5 and 3 years old, and started apartment hopping. So that was a lot on a kid. I could never really make friends, hopping from place to place, because in New York City, you go to the other side of town, you go to that school, unless you're in high school, which is where you choose what school you go to. Um, my mom went through a struggle when I was 10 years old, and she sent me to live with my biological father. And I didn't know him because I knew my daddy, my stepfather. I didn't know my real father, and I was a daddy's girl. And my biological father is a monster. He is very inappropriate with a couple of his daughters and his son, who has now transitioned. But with me, it went to pregnancy. So that's where my journey really began, when I was 15 and, looking at a positive pregnancy test from my father. And so I went and moved into the New York City group home system. And that in and itself is terror. I mean, it is nothing but sheer terror. I knew I didn't belong there. So they got me out of the first one fairly quickly. I was beaten up, all my clothes were taken. I was sleeping on the floor. And so my brother and sister-in-law came and got me, and demanded that I be moved. But what was funny was my biological father's first wife loved me so much and knew what a monster he was, that she put her name on the line to call defects in Queens, because I was located in Queens at the time. She'd worked for defects in Brooklyn, to say, hey, put her here. Don't put her in where you're going to put her here. And they did. Now, it was still a rough group home, but it was much less than some of the places they were trying to send me. And that was a good experience for me, that living in that group home. The counselors loved me because I listened. If it was my chore day, I did my chores, whatever. So I went and saw a guy I was seeing at the time, and poop, I'm pregnant. Here's my first child. I'm 18. And my reason for wanting to have her is because I wanted to love something and then give something back love. Because there was so much unreciprocated love in my heart from my family, my mother's side of the family abandoning me, that, and I know I'm 49 now. Of course, I know this is not the reason you bring a child into the world now, but at a, 16, 17-year-old mind, you're still thinking about what happened 2 years ago. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica. Nowhere in there was there a chapter on how to heal from what I went through. So I had her, and then I married. I didn't marry her father, but I married a man, and the physical abuse started. And it took me, we had 2 kids on top of that. Found out he was bipolar schizophrenic. And so he had issues because he wouldn't take his medicine, or he would take it one day and not take it the next, or, whatever. But divorced him after being held on my knees begging for my children's lives, with a 9mm pressed to my forehead, locked and loaded. And while he described what he was going to do to them after incapacitating me, but not to the point of me being able to transition, that did something to me. And it was my wake-up call that it wasn't going to get better. So a friend of mine, she had just built a house, brand new house. It had a huge basement. She says, sis, come on, just bring the kids. And I'm like, I don't know when my disability is going to start coming through. I can't tell you how much I'm going to give you every month. I'll give you something from the small check I get, but I can't tell you, how much I'll give you every month. She was like, I don't care. I just want you and the girls to be safe. And so I moved in with her. A couple of days later, checked the mail. There was $67,000 in Social Security back pay in my mailbox. And it's like the universe was saying, he can't have it. He can't enjoy it. And he was trying to get it. He was trying to get it. And so they wouldn't release it until he was released. And that's the way the universe works. And so I moved forward, and that was from a car wreck, by the way, a debilitating car wreck. I've got titanium sitting on my sciatic nerve. Move forward. I met another gentleman, seemed like a really great guy. Beautiful ring on my finger, living in a $750,000 house. Here I am again thinking, oh, this is great. And he was just an a-hole. There's no other way to put it. He was just an a-hole. So he threw me and my children out of the house. We slept at a band mom's house for almost a year, and then finally we got our own space. About 2 years into getting our own space, my children started to tell me how useless I was, and how other moms did this and other moms did that. And here I am in the pity mindset, right? The victim mindset. Woe is me. I can't do this. I can't do that. Instead of doing what I could do. So what could I do? I could drive her to school every morning and allow her to talk to me during that time. That wasn't going to hurt me taking my medicine 15 minutes later. I could cook and have a meal ready for them when they got home. I just wasn't doing those things. And because I was feeling sorry for myself. And so finally I dug myself out of that hole and I met a 4th grade teacher. And here I am thinking, yes, I know my ancestors are proud. I broke the cycle. You know, what could be better than a 4th grade elementary school teacher? You know, that means he has a heart, he has empathy. No, the biggest monster I had to face. The biggest monster I had to face. And I would be torn down from the time he opened his eyes until he finally passed out at night. And this would go on for days. So 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. And then he would notice once I start stuttering, you know, a seizure's coming. Then he picked up on the pattern. He would take me right to the point of stuttering and then tell me, go take your medicine and go to bed. Very insidious nature. And extremely insecure. I have never met a man that insecure in my life. So I allowed him, and I say it this way for a reason, I allowed him to tear me down. I allowed him to sit. I allowed him to take the little bit of self-esteem that I had worked so hard to build throughout my life, because you lose your self-esteem when your father takes your virginity. You lose it. It's gone. But I had worked hard to build up at least this little bit that I had, and I was proud of this little tiny bit that I had. And he took that. And so I attempted to take my life. And that's where my story really begins. I swallowed the pills. I put my favorite shirt on my kids bought for me. It had butterflies all over it. And I laid in the woods and I typed in the notes, girls, I'm sorry it wasn't you. And went to sleep. And I got to visit the ancestral plane. Here I am thinking, oh my God, I'm home finally. You know, this is great. You know, there's mom, there's daddy, my stepdad. There's even the husky from my childhood is there, Candy. And daddy had his head down like this. And daddy's never told me no. He never, I mean, when Chips Ahoy first came out, the bags were like this, okay? And he would buy me one of those at the store when we were going to get whatever they needed and try to tell me eat it on the way home. So I'd be 6-year-old walking down the street, you know, trying to eat all these cookies. But he was there and he's just kind of shrunk down and looking up over his, no boom boom. He used to call me Bum Bum. And I looked over at my mother and she's standing, my mother's a Leo. She's standing tall. No, it is not your time. And I am begging and pleading with her, please let me stay. I'm worthless. I'm useless. No one needs me. No one wants me. I'm unlovable. I got to be Satan's child. People need you. And I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? You know, I'm pleading with her. I'm having a conversation with her. What are you talking about? The girls are grown. They have their own lives. Nobody needs me. Nobody wants me around. And she says, you have a purpose and your purpose begins now. And she pushes me back into my 3D body. And I wake up in the hospital. How I got there is still unclear. And I'm at the space where she doesn't want me to know. What they used to save my life is still unclear. I know the 2 methods that were not used. And I've gotten to the point where she doesn't want me to know. Because if I needed to know, I would have known. Therapy, counseling, but then was told about RTT hypnotherapy. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm losing everything anyway. Why not try it? And in that session, she taught me how to go back through my subconscious and love every version of who I am and who they were and who they had to be, and talk to them and tell them how brave and strong they were to protect me at those times, and tell them I've got it from here, but I love them. And so it was like I took the hands of all the little versions of little Tywanah, and we went along, and at the end my mother comes through, and she puts her hands, it's like my hands had red handprints on them. She put her hands on my shoulders, and it's because her urn was right behind me. She puts her hands on my shoulders and she says, I didn't finish. Now, we know you're psychic already. We've known since you were 2. But I am now transferring what I did not finish to you. And I felt the heat, and I felt the dizziness, and I felt the change. And so I moved to DC to get away from him and to start afresh, and to help my sister, who was mourning the loss of her. They might as well have been married, like for real. It was 20 something years they were together. But she was mourning the loss of my brother-in-law. And she had this crazy 6-month-old cane corso puppy who lost his person too. And, she didn't know what to do with him. So auntie to the rescue. I come up here, and, it was living with her when I realized I was a healer. That's when it clicked. Because here I am screaming from the inside every day that I open my eyes. I used to go on walks in 99-degree weather, and I'm talking about 6, 7, 8 miles just to burn off that energy of being sad and upset and lonely, and still can't figure out what happened. When I got my own place, my mom's voice got so loud I couldn't sleep. It was that loud. I couldn't sleep. And she told me, you don't need sleep right now. And she had me scripting from my subconscious. And then in February, she said, it's time to use your voice. And I'm like, to do what? And she's like, it's time to use your voice. And, she says that, and I open Facebook, and there's a podcaster looking for people. I wasn't even in the group yet. It was just somebody I knew looking for people. And so I was on their season 7, episode 1 of their show. And I announced to the world, yes, I am a psychic medium and spiritual guide. Yes, I communicate with dead people. Yes, I've had this gift my entire life, but it was shunned and frowned upon by people and society. So I kept it to myself. My children know. But I kept it to myself. And that's kind of how my journey has gone. That's how I got to where I am today. Black Butterfly Goddess was born out of my dark night of the soul, or dark night of the mind. And butterflies have always been my thing. So I knew butterfly had to go in there somewhere. And when I looked up the origin of the word queen, it goes back to prostitution. So I didn't want to be called queen. But a goddess is a co-creator with God. So I was okay with that. And the black butterfly, I chose it because I rarely see them where I live. But I heard that if you're in Costa Rica, they're big and beautiful and they're everywhere, which again, doesn't surprise me. It's a very spiritual space there. And so I found out not long ago that it means ancestral connection. So I chose it. I thought I chose it for one thing, but my ancestors actually chose it for that reason, and that's the way they work. So that's who I am. I'm a psychic medium. Yes, loved ones do come through. Yes, I do channel. No, I don't like doing it on TikTok because it takes too much energy. So I always tell people that's a private read. And it's also a lot of body preparation for it. I also have a spiritual guidance program for men and women, leading you from your darkness into your light. Because while I might not have a piece of paper that says I'm a coach, I am more qualified than half of the people with that piece of paper because of my life and how I have had to make it through alone.
Absolutely. Wow, what a journey! What a story. There are some similarities in our journey. I was a 1 pounder. Sorry, yeah, I was a one pound baby, 3 months pregnant. So, and I was the only one that survived out of mum's losing three. And wow, what a journey. But out of that has birthed something amazing that you're doing to help people. And I wanted to ask you, what role has healing played in allowing you to help others in their own journeys?
Healing has played the ultimate role, because without that, first of all, without that, who am I to try to guide you from your darkness to your light if I haven't healed from my darkness yet? But number two, my life is now like a visual aid, if you will, of what healing looks like. So, for example, a few months ago, my children and I were in separation. We're not in separation anymore. We're not all goofy, giddy together anymore, but we're not in separation anymore. And I'm hosting, we're doing a podcast about that with one of my children. So healing is my business. When I introduce myself, the first thing I say is I'm a 4th-generation intuitive healer. So healing is my business. So I had to learn how to heal myself and heal others in order to be able to heal more. And that's while my cup isn't always full.
Were there any specific experiences that pushed you to create that safe place for people to feel seen and loved?
I can't pinpoint. Well, yes. My ex, being with my ex, because that's when I realized so many of us were being abused and didn't even know it. And I never felt like he saw me. I never felt like he loved me. I never felt like he understood me. And so me creating my TikTok with the amount of people that I have coming through there every night was so that people feel seen, heard, loved, and understood. I don't need to know you. I don't need to know your story for me to say, I see you, I love you, and I understand what you're going through. And 9 out of 10 times, I do understand what they're going through because of my life. So it helps me to connect to that many more people.
Yeah, thank you. So Black Butterfly Goddess has become a sanctuary for many who feel alone and misunderstood. How do you create such a strong sense of community and connection on your platform?
We have ground rules. And one of those ground rules is no saying sorry unless you meant to disrespect someone in the comments. Because most of us are recovering people pleasers. We hold space for each other. So if someone comes in and says they're hurting, we hold space for them. Music stops, candles come out, and we light a candle and ask the divine to be with them, to guide them, to comfort them. We are literally just there for each other. So if somebody's having a bad day, they'll look at their door and there'll be a package, a care package my TikTok community, and I try not to get emotional. My TikTok community loves me so much. They bought my dog for me.
Yeah.
And so no one had ever done that for me before. I did nothing, or I thought I did nothing, but sit behind a screen and talk every night and shuffle some cards. And they asked me if I had found a seizure dog yet. I told them no. And I said, but there's a breeder. He's got 2. I'm going to try to see if I can swing it this month. And all of a sudden, I hear ding, 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 ding in my Cash App. And it's for your dog, for your dog, for your dog. And in less than 4 hours, I had all the money I needed plus $50 for my dog. If that weren't enough, every time I opened my door, there were packages from the Amazon. I mean, I call them the TikTok aunties. They had me make a wish list for her and put it in my stand store. And every few days, something arrives from that wish list. So I have built a very strong community of people who love, people who are grateful, people who appreciate, people who will love on you as long as you keep healing. Because like I've been announcing in my group lately, look, this train, we're getting ready to pull out of the station. Don't get left behind, because we are getting ready to get pulled out of the station. And if you're not operating out of your healed higher self, you're going to be left behind. So yeah.
That's so amazing, so awesome that the community raised that money for you to buy your dog. And what a beautiful dog that your dog is. I forget the
Thank
name.
you.
Lotus?
Lotus, yes.
A beautiful dog it is.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
So how do you balance sharing your personal story while giving space for others to express their own?
When I'm sharing on TikTok, for example, and I look, I'm watching the comments. If somebody agrees with me a lot, I'll stop and say, oh, really? Tell me, or do you feel comfortable sharing your story? What happened? And usually I'm tapped in and I know a little bit about it. Mom will, flash it across my eyes really quick. But tell me what happened and how we can support you. And that's what I do. I'll stop the live. Everybody hold your comments. No more comments. I'm talking to this person only.
Yeah,
So they know it's a safe space.
that's important. Yeah, absolutely. You've shared openly about your experiences of trauma and resilience and the spiritual awakening. How has being vulnerable about your past affected your own healing process?
It made me lose my give a F, my people pleasing tendencies, my wanting to be liked or loved by family. Oh my goodness. I don't care anymore. I don't. It doesn't matter whether you like me or not. There's millions of people who love me. It doesn't matter whether or not you feel I was the family troublemaker. Did you experience what I did? Okay, no, then don't talk. I've become so confident in myself, something that I never thought would happen. There was a lady on my TikTok 2 nights ago who told me you shouldn't think so highly of yourself. And I said, excuse me, ma'am, I am a goddess. I am going to think highly of myself. You shouldn't think so lowly of yourself that you would tear another woman down.
Mm. Yeah.
And she tried to go back and forth for a little while, and I was just like, I'm done with this. So my moderators blocked her. But I thought about it after I got off, and it made me sad that she's in so much pain that she tells someone who finally, after 47 years, loves themselves. Finally, I don't hate me. And you're telling me I think too much of myself? Some other man said, "You're going to be single forever." I said, "You act like that's a threat." That's not a threat, because my purpose comes first. So if it means that I have to be single forever, then that's what the ancestors have for me.
Mm.
And I'll do their work until I'm gone.
Mm.
But they're reconciling my children, so I won't be alone forever. I get to speak to my little grandbabies whenever I want. Those are the people who matter.
Mm. Absolutely. Mm. What have you learned about the power of storytelling and helping others heal?
I have learned that the things that I have been taught to hide and be ashamed of my entire life are the very things that when I speak, it heals someone else and someone else. And I've got the emails and the letters and the messages to prove it. There was a young lady 2 weeks ago, when I announced it. Dr. Lord Michael Harris and I will be doing it's called Honoring Their Truth, Honest Conversations about Parent-Child Separation, with myself and hopefully 3 other separated parent-children couples. And she wrote me this message, and she said, "For years, I've been trying to get my mom just to take accountability without telling me why. I did this because," she said, "all I want to hear is, I did this and I messed up. That's it."
Mm.
She said, "It's not like I can't forgive my mother because she has trauma. She does have real trauma. It's much worse than mine. But mine is needing validation." And I told her, "Well, if nobody tells you, I'm proud of you. And you
Mm.
keep going."
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Mm. You mentioned that your mother's presence during your darkest moments and guiding you back from that edge of where you were. How has spirituality shaped your journey to work with others, and also how has it inspired you to start offering readings and messages from the spirit realm?
Mom had a lot to say when I finally woke up.
Mm.
She's, like I said, she's a Leo. And she told me I can't keep this to myself, that I had held on to it for too long, and that there were others. And when she told me there were others, it was a no-brainer for me
Mm.
to start doing this kind of work. My program is customized. I sit here 5 to 8 hours creating each person's plan every week. So 5 to 8 hours times however many clients I have, plus their
Wow.
2 oracle reads every week and their 2 1-hour meetings every week. So the amount of energy that I am putting into healing with my clients is huge.
Mm.
In fact, I got in trouble by a coach at PBS because she said, when she saw my program, she goes, "What are you charging?" And I told her, and she goes, "You should be getting 4.5 times the amount. You're not valuing yourself." And so I even missed that opportunity because she didn't feel I valued myself enough. She said, I want you to think of it like this. You're thinking of it as, I have this gift and I can help people now. She said, and I need you to think about it as, I have this gift, but if I charge what I'm worth, I can help more people.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit me until that moment when she said it, you know? And I'm like, she's right. She's 100% right. So that's what we're doing now. Prices are going up in November. I'm still going to offer payment plans and things like that because I know people are struggling right now. Invoicing or whatever. But they're changing. I'm changing. I'm stepping more into that feminine allowing energy versus the always doing energy. And this little munchkin over here has helped me to do that.
And
Um,
it's also the abundance mindset, right?
yes, yes.
And there's an episode, I think it was episode 57, I can't remember exactly which one it was. It was around the abundance mindset where I spoke to Ramja, and
Hmm.
a lady listened to that episode and she said to me a few days later, she said, I've just listened to this episode and I've put my prices up because I figured I wasn't valuing myself. I just realized that I wasn't valuing my self-worth. And she said, I've just put my prices up. And she went from a lack to an abundance mindset in one instance of listening to this episode.
Hmm.
And so, it is, and it's hard because, we've been through so much in our journey in life, and sometimes we don't feel like we're worthy enough, but
Right.
we are. But, we are because abundance is our birthright.
Hmm.
All of us are born to be abundant.
Yes.
We are created to be abundant.
There's
And
enough for all of us.
there's enough for all of us. And, for a long time in my life, I lived a life of scarcity and lack. And now I'm like, no, no more.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that's where I am. I'm in the scarcity and like, I look around me and I don't live in a, gorgeous apartment with a beautiful view and all of that. I don't live in a safe neighborhood either. I'm grateful, but my ancestors had to bring me here to teach me a lesson because, those gentle whispers I talked about earlier, I wasn't listening to those when I had everything. So they had to make me lose everything
mm,
to be able to appreciate as I rise the things that they're gifting me with. So yes, I am breaking that lack and poverty mindset. And every day I tell them I don't belong here. This is not my final space. Um, you know, Please grant permission to leave and find a way to help me. I'll work for
mm,
it, whatever. But I'm ready to move. I'm ready to move. And burning the right incense, saying the right incantations, being respectful, things like that. Because I had this whole fit in here one day. This whole fit. And all of my ancestors are just sitting looking at me like this while I'm having this whole fit, walking around the house screaming like a crazy person. And when I was done, my mother comes over and she goes, would you like to tell us where you want to go and what you'd like to live in? I had
mm.
never felt so small or so stupid in my life. Because here I am ranting about something. They're all looking at me like, what is she ranting for? And I hadn't even asked them for what I was looking
Specificity.
for.
Yeah. Being specific about what you wanted.
Yes,
Yeah. What you desired. Yeah.
yes. So now every day I look at houses and apartments in that space and I look, I'm like, oh, that could be Lotus's little corner, or oh, I could see me painting, half of this room blue and half of it pink if the grandbabies come visit, or that's the space I'm in now.
Yeah. Do you know something
And
I've started doing after I've been reading this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and in there it talks about um, writing down how much money you want to bring in, have in your possession. How much money do you want
Uh-huh.
to bring into your life? Write it down, and then set a date by the date that you want. And then what are the services that you're going to render, and what quantity of services, and then what quality of services you're going to render. And then you do that morning and night, and you say that this is already in my position, it's coming, and it's already here. And then you do that morning and night, and you're putting that intention out there to the universe, to the spirit guides, to our ancestors, and that will flow through us because
Right.
everything is
Energy.
energy, and
Mm-hmm.
so we don't own anything. Everything flows through us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you say, flow through me and help these people. All of a sudden, your ego is gone because all you are is a vessel to be used for good, for
Right.
everyone's higher good, right?
Right. Right.
And
I love that. Okay, so which book was that so I can order it from Amazon?
Think and Grow Rich by
Thank you.
Napoleon Hill.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, and it's interesting how how we, through the situations that happen in our life, it's interesting how we limit ourselves because we are created to be limitless.
Limitless.
Yeah, we are created, we are here as limitless beings, but we
Mm-hmm.
limit ourselves so much because of the things that have happened, because of the things people have said to
Yes.
us, because of the of our own doing.
Yes.
We're giving our thoughts meaning, but our thoughts don't have any meaning. They are just thoughts. They're neutral. And I was listening to, I don't know if you've heard of Bashar, but I was listening to Bashar today, and he says,
I
everything.
love Char. The one who sits like
Yes,
this.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, I love Bashar.
He's
I
amazing.
love Bashar.
And he was saying that everything is neutral. It's the meaning you give it, right? God, universe, always says yes to
I,
whatever you want,
I
whatever you
literally
desire.
told that story to my TikTokers. I tell them that. I told them how I saw Bashar and he was right. I literally told that story on my TikTok about how, because the lady wrote in the comments yesterday when I said, "How are you?" And she said, I'm not going to say I am. She said she was broke and tired. I said, and the universe just said, yes, bring more broke and tired to you. I
Whatever you
said,
say. Yeah.
whatever
Sorry.
you say, the universe is saying,
Yes.
yes, bring more of that.
Yeah. And so many people in this life say, talk more about what they don't want instead of what they do want. And
Yes.
if you start, the Bible says, ask and you
And
shall
you,
receive,
yes,
and
yes,
believe with all your heart, right? Because our heart center is the biggest energy center. Our heart is I heard this the other day that your heart was the first brain that existed when you were in your mother's womb, because there was no such thing as a brain. The first thing that
right.
appears is a beating heart,
Is your heart. Mm-hmm.
and that's that brain heart coherence. So
Mm-hmm.
if you believe with all your heart, which is the biggest energy center, and you then what happens is that you put the emotion into that sends a signal to your brain. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this, where he says, when you believe with all your emotion, with all your heart, that your heart then sends a signal to your brain to start
Mm-hmm.
creating,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so if if you go to sleep and with gratefulness. Three things, I say this to my clients, three things that you're grateful for that day. And then three questions that you want to ask your subconscious for whatever you want to manifest. When you do that, your subconscious mind is open when you're just about to fall asleep because your brain is in theta brainwave mode.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the most open to being reprogrammed. And what happens is that when you ask those three questions, your brain, your mind will go relentless. Your subconscious mind will go relentless to find the answer. And how many times have you thought about something at night, but woken up the next morning or the day after, and you've got the answer that you wanted?
Many.
That's the power of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is, when it's open, you've got to reprogram, you've got to feed it. You've got to ask a question. It will go, when you, like I remember a few years ago when I decided I wanted to buy a Mazda CX-5, and I put that intention, and what ended up happening is that everywhere I went, I saw Mazda CX-5s. Even my daughter was walking into the library going, my dad's going to buy a Mazda CX-5. She was putting the intention out there for me.
Right.
And in 2 weeks' time, guess what happened? I bought a Mazda CX-5.
You bought Mazda CX-5.
Because whatever we feed our subconscious mind, it's open to that suggestion, right? And it will go and find it, and it will go and find it until it won't rest until it finds it.
Never thought of some of it the way you put it, but do love Bashar and watch him quite frequently.
Yeah.
I receive a lot of knowledge and understanding from him. I was just drawn to him. Daryl Anka, just drawn to him. But what he says is truth. I love that he speaks nothing but truth. He's blunt. He's blunt.
That's what I love that.
It makes you laugh, so it's funny to me. But he teaches those basic principles of, how to get out of this mindset. And that's what I've been passing along to my community and my clients is the universe always says yes. So
absolutely.
You keep talking about pain, the universe says yes, more pain.
More pain.
More hurt, more agony, more poverty, more I'll never be able to be qualified to get a house. Yes, you're absolutely right. You'll never be able to be qualified to get a house. You just screwed your chances of possibly a miracle. You know what I mean? Because you just never know. You never know. There are people like you and I that don't follow the rules that society would put on certain things if we have excess, if we have overflow. I know if I had two houses and somebody needed one, shoot, if I had two bedrooms and somebody needed one, I would do it.
You see, we've been programmed by society. We've been programmed by the government, all these structural masculine institutions that say that this is the way it's meant to be. You go get a job, you work hard, you buy a house, you do this, you do that, you do that. And there's actually, I heard somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but I heard that it was the FBI or the one of the federal agencies years and years and years ago have done studies that about the power of your mind and what you can manifest if you believe. Now, if this was taught in schools, imagine what people would be like when they grow up. I want to ask you another question around writing about your personal experiences, because you've written a book, right?
I'm part of an anthology book, excuse me, set to be released in 3 days.
Nice. So, what was the most challenging part about writing about your personal experiences?
I would say choosing which experience to write about, but that wasn't it. It was writing without allowing any of the residual feelings that I had for that incident to take over. But it was very healing because I no longer have any of those residuals regarding that experience. That was about my attempt to take my own life and my spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
So that's what my portion is about, the last 2.5, 3 years of my life. And how I lost relationship with my children, grandchildren, no one wanted to be bothered with me, and I don't blame them. So I'm excited about this project. I'm excited that we are days away from launch. I actually took today, tomorrow, and Wednesday off, just to kind of get in the mood to sit down and read it, with a hot cup of nice lemon chamomile tea and with a sprinkle of peppermint, and curl up with my dog, be it inside or if it's nice outside, sitting on the outside couch and on the balcony and just reading all of the ladies' stories through. I don't want to skip through to mine. I want to read all of the ladies' stories through as they are, because I already know there's going to be a different level of healing that takes place when I read my story from this perspective. It has not sank in that I'm a published author yet. It hasn't even sank in.
That's an amazing achievement, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so
and
much.
and it's so great that you're finding healing from that, because and I know how you feel, because early this year I wrote 8,140 something words in a chapter for book collaboration, and which was all around my trauma from childhood and the journey that I've been on. And then I've realized recently that after going through 24 restructures and for my fourth redundancy in my career, I came to the conclusion, the realization that what I'm meant to be doing is to be helping others who are going through that experience. Because if I look at the fundamental thing, restructures and redundancies happen, but it's
Right.
the thing that really impacts people is that abandonment and rejection. And that's what I
Yeah.
went through. And, you know, 40 something years ago. And it's
Right.
played out over and over and over and over again. And so if I can help people build that resilience and that confidence in themselves and their self-worth and self-esteem, then I'm
They can
seeing
avoid some of those situations.
absolutely. So, I decided I wasn't going to go back and get a job, because I remember early this year going through 12 weeks of my shadow work, the trauma healing. And at the end of that 12 weeks, I ended up getting a job, because I was asking God and universe, I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. And universe, God went, here you go, here's a job. 3 months into that role, I get restructured. 3 months later, I'm made redundant. Now, last year when I got made redundant for the third time, I felt the universe, God saying, hey, have you had enough? Obviously I hadn't, because I go back in for the fourth time, right? Talk about being a sucker for punishment. So then, so this time, 2 weeks ago, I get made redundant, and I'm saying to my girlfriend, I'm like, I don't think I'm meant to be in corporate world anymore. And we were like, she was worried about my situation and stuff, and because it's a new relationship and how it's going to work out. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to worry. I'm not going to put burden on you. But I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do everything I can, move heaven and earth to make this happen, but I cannot go back into full-time corporate world.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to go all in to this journey of being,
Mm-hmm.
which I've rebranded myself as a business
Mm-hmm.
resilience transition consultant.
Oh, I like
And
that.
yeah,
I
and
like
I'm
that.
I'm starting a 5-day challenge on the 25th of November, which is going to take people through this for 5 days. It's free and it's going to help people understand what change is, how to how to get comfortable with change,
I'm gonna have to
how to
sign up for that.
how to communicate through change, how to build resilience, how to do networking and so on, and then how to take action towards your new journey in life. And it's like it's me doing this now, and I'm going to
Right.
people doing exactly the same thing in a month's time, or and yeah.
That
And
is wonderful.
so what I realized was that often we are our ideal clients because we have gone through all this. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, hey, I don't need a certificate to say that I'm a, a resilience and transition consultant because
No.
I've lived this all my life.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, and I've been through 24 restructures and 4 redundancies. I've got the t-shirt multiple times.
Right, right.
So, you know, what you've been through, no doubt, has been traumatic, um, has been, very difficult for you as you've grown up. But I'm sure that you agree that it's given you a purpose
Oh yeah.
to help others.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure you would agree with me that you would not change in a single day.
No.
No, me either. I was sexually abused
That's
when I was 10 years old in an ashram in boarding school by students. And I was told wouldn't amount to anything. I was told that I'd be useless. But
same.
the thing is, I backed myself and I believed in myself, and I always have done that, and I will never stop believing in myself and backing myself.
Right.
And people like you and I have a calling. We are
Yes, we do.
we have a destiny. We have a purpose. We
A
are
responsibility.
absolutely we are light workers, and we are called to heal and help others. And so
Yes.
I want to really respect you and acknowledge you for the amazing work that you're doing in this
Thank
world to
you.
help others.
Thank
And
you.
never ever think that you're not, because you're going to change people's lives, and and what you're doing now is nothing compared to what's coming.
Thank you. I received that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I needed that.
yeah. So you
I
just
needed
got
that.
to keep backing yourself, keep believing in yourself, because when you take the word impossible and you break it up to I'm possible.
Yes. Yes.
I've just had such a great time on this interview. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and then we're going to sort of wrap up. But what I wanted to ask you was, how do you define success, and has that definition for you changed over time?
Success is peace and happiness, and knowing that you are loved.
Mm,
That definition has definitely changed for me over time because I thought success was the biggest house and the nicest car. But for me now, it's peace and happiness and knowing I'm loved unconditionally.
yeah, absolutely. And it's who we evolve into, right?
Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah. Who has been your greatest inspiration and why?
This is where I got choked up when I read the email. I feel my greatest inspiration are my daughters
Mm,
because I cannot imagine the bravery and the pain that it took
mm,
to cut me out of their lives. So they are my inspiration.
mm,
Next would be myself. I wouldn't put another human in that space, but first them because of their
mm,
bravery. Um, they inspire me, even with the short conversations that I have with the two youngest now. Even
mm,
those short conversations inspire me to want to be better than I am every day. They inspire me to push myself so that I can leave them a legacy.
absolutely. Absolutely. What is something that you believe that others may disagree with?
There's a lot when you ask a psychic that question, but I believe that your ancestors, angels, spirit guides, deities, spirit animals, they're with you. And a lot of people would not agree that we have those things with us all the time. A lot of people say that I'm worshiping demons when I allow my ancestors to lead my life. Um, People would also not agree with me allowing them to lead my life. People have often said, no, you need to tell them what to do. And I'm like, yeah, you go in my house and get slapped by a ghost. I'm not going in there and telling them anything. I'll go in there and petition and ask and be respectful, but I am not going in there, like you need to do this or you can get off my team. This is not baseball practice. So I think it also depends on what types of guides you have and your relationship with them. But my grandfather and my great grandfather are both Caribbean men, and then my great great grandfather on my nana side was chief of the Shinnecock Indians. So I really don't want any problems. I just don't. There's a lot of anger over there.
Mm, mm. Next question is, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
You don't have to be anybody but the person that you want to be.
Mm,
You
totally.
can take the mask off.
Mm,
It's not Halloween.
no. You know, I did a speech last week at Toastmasters about a Halloween style, and it's like I said, our minds are the scariest places, and all those stories create the fear and hold us back.
Mm-hmm.
If we just let go of all those stories,
Mm-hmm.
imagine what we can achieve.
Yep.
Mm. And treat fear as a friend who gives you feedback to get
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be better and you can achieve whatever you want to.
I agree. I love that.
Last question, and before I go to the last question, and that was based on something that I watched with Bashar, and I reposted that, and it's like fear's knocking on your door, and you're going, "Hey, I'm here to tell you something," and you're going, "No, go away," and fear comes back and goes stronger with a stronger voice and says, "Knock, knock, knock. I'm here to tell you a question. Give you some feedback," and it says, "No, no, no, go away." He goes, "Well, I'm going to huff and a puff, and I'm going to blow your house down and so on." But the thing is, the 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 amount of effort we put in fearing things, if we
Mm-hmm.
actually just became friends with fear
Mm-hmm.
and let fear just deliver the message, all
Right.
it is a message. You say
Right.
thank you, and then you take that on board, and then you
And keep going.
and you keep going.
Mhm.
Yeah. Last question. What is one message that you would like to share with the world?
Be yourself. Be your true, authentic self. Take the mask off.
Mm,
Take that mask off. And if people don't like who you are, they're not your people.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because that mask is made up of, there's so much dirt. If you think about a window gets smudged, gets dirt on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then what we do is we decide that we don't want to show the world all our imperfections. So we cover it up
Yes.
with black paper so that no one can see through.
Yes. Yes.
But all we had to do was to clean the glass,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'd be able to see through it. And
Mm-hmm.
through that, by cleaning it, you can see your purest self.
Yes.
Yeah,
Your highest and purest self.
your highest
Yes.
spirit. Yes, absolutely. Well, Tywanah, it's been an amazing time chatting with you. I've really enjoyed this episode, and I'd love to get you back for another one at some point.
I would love that, Anthony.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I would love that.
I think we should delve into a bit of the higher self and the spirit world and the ancestors and yeah.
I
Um,
would I would I would love to. I learned so much here today. Thank you for sharing that with me. And I'm gonna get those 2 books you mentioned.
you're
They,
welcome.
they they're in my Amazon cart now.
Yeah. So if people would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way to contact you and get in touch or be a part of your community?
Black Butterfly Goddess on everything.
Hmm.
And blackbutterflygoddess.com is my website. So if you don't want to, use social media or you don't use social media, you can just submit. There's a form on my contact me page, and you just check whether it's services or podcast or a speaking engagement or whatever, and you can place for your notes, comes right to my inbox, and I'll read it from there. But otherwise, on all social media, including YouTube, I am Black Butterfly Goddess.
Awesome. And we'll put the links into the podcast description so that
Thank
people can
you.
click on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll look forward to chatting again with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. All right. If you've watched this episode or listened to this and you've got some insights out of this, and you would love to catch up with Tywanah, feel free to do so. If you'd like to contact myself, please do that. And also share this episode on your social media and tag us in so that we can see it and we can comment on it as well. And if you haven't already done so, please share this with someone who would benefit from it. And
Mm-hmm.
remember to subscribe and to follow this podcast so that we can get this podcast out to the wider world. Thank you. And I just want to say you are worthy and you are loved, and champion your life, champion your greatness. Have an amazing day.